I'll be showing you in this California Poppy spread how I used watercolors here. Please keep in mind that if you have one of my books, they do not have watercolor paper in, but I have found a quick and easy way to use watercolor on the paper. Here are a few others I used watercolor with, and they really turned out, according to me, very nicely. It doesn't blend and move like watercolor, but you can certainly get some amazing results with color shifts. Here in the front page, I did a couple of wonky roses and a few leaves. The one here on the left is coloring pencil, watercolor here. Here's more coloring pencils that I did on the gratitude retreat on the 29th of February, which is in the Self-Mastery membership. I do believe that one is available to watch on YouTube anyway. Now here I used watercolors to see if I could layer effects and get those transitions from thin washes to deeper, more accented details. Now we certainly can't expect this paper to behave like watercolor paper, but we can certainly try, right? What I thought we could do was to draw some circles wherein I will create more floral drawings like the poppy. Now in these drawings I'll walk you through some of the techniques I used on the opposite side. I'm just taking random round objects all around me to draw some circles. This is a really fun way to create little spaces to experiment with. And it's starting to look like soap bubbles to me. So I'm using a fine liner and outlining these circles. This is a waterproof black liner because we don't want the lines to smudge with the addition of watercolors. We can always erase some of our pencil marks later. If you just give it a go. By starting to draw some more flowers. Let's draw a side view of a poppy in this one. A little stem and the flower base. And then add a couple of wonky leaves or petals. With that last one tucked behind the other one. And just a couple of lines to represent veins. For that one up there, I think we could draw some more of the buds, those ones that are just starting to open up. They look so cute, like they have little hats on, don't they? And let's just draw one more in there. Let's make a full poppy on this side. We'll start with that little polyps in the center. We can create the front-facing petal, one for the back, one on the right-hand side, and another floppy wonky one on that side. And for good measure, let's tuck another one in here. If you're not feeling that confident, you could always draw with pencil. and just add 2 lines there for a stem. I think we need a couple of these funny looking leaves, so I think that top bubble will place a couple of leaves in. And these are just like squiggly lines coming together in that leafy shape to create this iconic type of leaf that you see on the California poppy. We're literally creating the illusion of a leaf, something that looks like the original. And remember, we are not doing botanical studies here. We are drawing wonky little leaves. Now, I think we need another little bubble over here. I'm going to be very careful here and try and miss that flat end and freestyle this circle around the sharpener. Okay. No, wait, let's make another one here. I'm literally just freestyling it here, trying to create some balance with big and large and small shapes. There we go. Okay. Yes, I think I like that. Let's go with this. This pen is a Nico Fine Point 99L. You can also use a permanent ink like in this brush tip pens. You could also use one of the Faber-Castell Artist Pitt pens. Now this one has like a blushy pink color, but you do get them in black as well. And they are permanent black ink. And if I'm not mistaken, I think these are also archivable. So next up, I'm going to use watercolors, just a simple pointed round water brush here. Well, not a water brush, just a paintbrush. And my old trusty set. Many of these empty pans I've replaced with Daniel Smith watercolors, just to make sure I always have color with me. And then I don't go around using half empty palettes. So I'm going to show you how to create something similar where we have light and dark colors, and I'm going to show you how to do that in one single layer so you don't have to wait for things to dry in between. We'll mix up some of the orange, mixing up a little puddle. Now remember to dip your brush in the water because we want a really thin consistency for that first layer to give you a lighter color. You'll see when you drag the brush, the place the brush stops just before you lift it up is where it's going to have a little bit more concentrated color. Now while it's wet, add some saturated color in there to create depth. Now I'm putting mine on top of the drawing lines for where I created the veins. You can even darken it up by using a darker orange or even a red. And if there's too much somewhere, just wipe it away with your finger. You can move on to some green and just fill in that flower base and the stem. Now while I've got green on my brush, let's just go to the next one and put some green in there as well. This is just something mindful you can do while you've got a specific color, is to go to other areas in your work to add that color in again. I'm just emptying out the brush and making sure that I put the greens where all the greens are. Not overthinking it and also not taking too long to get that color in there. Now for interest's sake, I'm grabbing a little bit of yellow and putting that into some of the green areas just to give it a little bit of interesting color shifts and something pretty to pop in that green. Now this works best if the previous area you're working into is still a little bit wet. I'm also grabbing some of the green, darker green areas just to also create some depth in the green parts. Just a little swig here and there. Can you see that this one is almost dry? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue on with that light blue background and just mix up a little bit of light blue to add in there. Now that's too concentrated, and even if it's going to dry, it's still going to be too dark. So I'll just add some water and spread it into this little bubble. If you spill some into the orange petals, just lift it out with a damp brush or a dry brush or even your finger, and make sure you spread that just to even out the blue a little bit. Alright, let's move to the other poppy here on the left hand side. Rinse the brush and grab some pink over there. Mix some up on the palette just to see that you've got it thin enough. Spread the pinky color from the outer tips to the center and go around to other petals while you still have that same color on your brush. We're looking for a thin spread of color in this initial laydown. And while it's wet, grab some more of the concentrated color and put it in as before on top of the lines we created for the veins, and also where you want more depth. Something you can start noticing about yourself is if you are judging your work while you are working, are you being negative about the results, or are you being mindful of your own emotions and feelings as you are going through this experimental phase? Are you allowing things to happen without any judgment? Are you giving in to the temptation to do things perfect? Or are you embracing those imperfections and making them part of the end result? Now I want to liven up this pink poppy by mixing up a little bit of yellow and orange and just swooshing it into each petal. Yes, that's a technical term, swooshing. Just like we did with the yellow into the green, just here and there, not the whole thing. And if you find that it's too bright or too much, just lift some of it out with a semi-damp brush. Now, this was also a very big experiment for me because I do love watercolor so much, and I did want to see how watercolor will react. And I'm pleasantly surprised. If we just don't scrub at the paper, it can manage quite a bit of water. All I'm doing here is just softening up some of those harsher lines with a damp brush. Trying to glide the brush instead of scrubbing at the paper. But at some point you'll have to stop because this paper, remember, wasn't designed for watercolors. So I'm using whatever color is left on the palette just to fill out those little buds. What I'm going to do now is color in the rest of the bubbles with the blue background, and the smaller bubbles I'll do a playful interaction between maybe blues and pinks, and also read what the California poppy is all about. The California poppy flowers enchants us with vibrancy and imagination. helping to clear mild addictions while opening one's vision to the magical world of vibrational frequencies. It ignites intuition and elevates our encounters with nature when we connect with the outdoors. As you can see, there's another spelling mistake or lack of a space. But anyway, let's continue and color in the rest of those bubbles. And there you have it, how to use watercolors in the Powerful Floral Remedies. And of course, if you've drawn your own flowers, why not color them in whatever medium you want? Or if you have watercolor paper and your printer can print that out, why not print your own drawings on watercolor paper and experiment that way? And better yet, if you have your own little sketchbook journal, why not create all the flowers as you are drawing, all of them yourself, and making sure you learn, practice, have a mindful session with yourself, and also expand your knowledge in the techniques and things you want to learn. Thank you for being here for Floraltober. So let's see how you go with your next 10, 15, or 20 minutes. Or how about an hour dedicated to your own practices and to your mindfulness this month? You could literally turn it into your own little painting happy hour.